I'm Dr. Helena.
Hey, welcome back. This is part 2 of my conversation with my friend Silas Tibbs, and we are going to be talking about how you can make sure that your writing is not predictable. Let's get into it.
Being raised a preacher's kid, like it's very spiritual and religious, and like there's this idea that I don't necessarily agree with, that it's anti-science.
I don't agree either.
I don't agree
I was
either.
like,
And then you go over to Star Trek, and it's humanism and enlightenment philosophy, and aliens. We're not talking about angels, we're talking about aliens. And so
right.
I was kind of raised with that dichotomy. And I also think that's something that helped me be able to hold two different ideas in my head that seemed contrary without having a crisis of science or faith.
I was
Uh,
just going to ask you that, like just the idea that it was always both for
yeah,
you,
it's always
right?
been
Like it
both.
was it
Yeah.
was always both things as like legitimate inquiry.
No matter who or where you are, like people understand story. And if you
Mhm.
can make it into a story, then they get it. And it's not necessarily the literal aspects of the story that you're pushing for them to get, but the conclusion that they draw at the end of the story.
It's what you learn.
Yeah, it's what you learn.
It's the
Exactly.
things that we learn. That's exactly the point. That's why it's so important to me that that everyone that I talk to, right? Like I'm interested, I'm obsessed. I've always been obsessed with like the story, like how talk about that journey, like talk about how you got here, because
Yeah.
chances are as you talk about it, as you reflect on it, like things begin to teach,
Yeah.
right? Like things begin to fall into place and your understanding of each other is transformed.
That's
You
why I
know,
dream
I
to be an
yeah.
old storyteller, because
Yeah.
they just get, your stories get better as you experience more. Like they get like, uh, you can tell a master because a master is not trying too hard. They just have one elegant stroke. I dream this. This is my big dream one day of. I love doing movies. I love all this other stuff, but I also love just like the literary in my dream. Let's see if I do have it actually. My dream is to like open a blank book like this one time,
Mhm.
sit down and write a full story perfectly
The
from
first time?
it is an impossible. Listen, this is this is how I set goals for myself, right?
Okay.
This is how I
This
set
is how
goals for
you set
myself.
goals. I want to do what
Because
cannot be done. Thank
because
you.
when I leave, if I've gotten even close to that by the
Mhm.
time I left the earth, then I will
Mhm.
have mastered something. So even if
Oh,
I never,
so it's motivating.
yeah,
It's like you're
it's
setting
motivating.
yourself to the highest standard possible, like
Yeah.
literally the impossible, if some might argue, but
And then
striving for that.
if you happen to do it, then
Yeah, if you happen to do it, then you've crossed the line and
you
it's
know.
like you're amazing and why not?
And that's, I mean, that leads to the other thing. I think there's also a, I
What's that?
feel or felt like everyone is a storyteller, you
Mhm.
know? And I don't want to speak for everyone again, like it's something familiar to me. So like I don't want to, if someone is like, I'm literally not a storyteller, I don't want to put them down, like they're missing
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
But the point I'm trying to make is like, so when I was younger, I have 7 younger siblings under me.
Oh my goodness.
And
You're the quintessential PK. You like there's so much in there, but
there's so
continue.
much, yeah. Um, we didn't really, I mean, we didn't grow up with like a lot. We
Mhm.
weren't that PK. We were
Right.
the
The
corner store.
regular PK.
Yeah,
The
like,
house full of kids and
yeah,
church
like
all the time,
church all the
except you
time
had science fiction in the evening
in the evening, and we had church all
and
the
on the
time and
weekend.
Star Trek at night.
Yeah.
Uh, but it's so funny. I'm gonna write the book Jesus and Star Trek.
I
But
feel like you need to. I feel like this is your I can't wait to see what comes through prescriptively from it because
right.
it feels like that's not fiction, sir. That's like
No,
the
it would definitely be a
prescriptive
reflective.
conversation.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
but so like we had toys, but we didn't have the newest toys.
Yeah.
Uh, but I remember when I was younger, two things that I did with my siblings, three things actually. I would tell them stories just like off the top of the dome, just freestyle stories.
Really.
And there was a time where I could freestyle a story from beginning to end. I'm not thinking about structure, I'm not thinking about nothing. But
Right.
the
Just
next
telling the
moment,
story.
yeah, like what's the next thing that happens in this story?
And
And
that's so fun. That's like such an exercise to do. You know how you do like at a sometimes at some sort of camp or group thing, you might have,
yeah,
one of those activities, kind of like a telephone thing where everybody tells a piece of the
yeah.
story. But to have all of it is a lot, like to be able to tell it from beginning to end.
Well, it's and that's the trick of it. Like it wasn't as if I knew every beat in the story. I knew the beginning and I knew the end. And somehow I
Okay.
had like an instinct for cause and effect, where you do this, it causes this to happen, which forces this
Right.
choice. That choice forces this to happen, which creates another choice, and you
Right.
follow that through line, and you keep everything turning until the end. Which is
But you
it's
still
that
have to have a really strong sense of that end. Like you have to have a really strong sense of I'm gonna bring this, it's gone off the rails. I gotta
yeah.
bring it all the way back to a particular end.
And that's what's crazy. So what I realized, and this was like maybe in my early 30s, I realized this, that at some point I forgot how to do that. At some point I
Oh,
forgot how to do that. And my only theory is that when you're young and you're just imagining daydreaming,
mm,
there's no fear, insecurity in storytelling. There's no like, I might
mm,
fail, the story might be bad. What if this twist is stupid? Da da da. So we develop those insecurities, and then you go to school, and I'm not anti-education, so
no,
let's not
but
do that. You
let's not do
un
that.
you
But you
unlearn the
yeah,
instinct because you've broken it all into pieces. What is not usually taught, you have to relearn this, is you're supposed to put all those pieces back together and return to instinct. But
mm,
you've now honed in and refined all of these pieces, so your instinct is even sharper when you return to it. But
okay.
sometimes if you don't know that, you can be left deconstructed,
Left deconstructed.
and no one shows you how to like
How
sew
to
all that
put
back together.
right.
And
Or
so
you feel so insecure about sewing it all back
y-
together that now
exactly.
it's about judging which pieces need to go somewhere and you just don't have the
And so you get analysis paralysis, and now you need all of these formulas and you need all of these methods. I'm
mm,
not against any of these, but like, man, I forgot how to tell stories somehow. Let me pick up a book by John Truby. And I don't know if you've ever read a book by John Truby.
that is hilarious because so on my desk, oh, you can't
Yeah.
see it, but
Yep.
on my
Yep. Yep.
I'm gonna have to put that in the library online. I'm gonna have to stick that in the list on the library online. That is hilarious that you said that.
It
Yeah,
was
because he's
actually
storytelling. Yeah.
by reading that book that I realized something. I was like, am I overcomplicating something that
Mm,
I knew how to do already? But
right.
I don't think the deconstruction is bad. I think it's necessary so
Yeah.
that you understand the tool that you're wielding. And so then you can recognize when your instinct is off or when you need just to like sink in. So I'm
Okay, to get better
starting,
at it. I mean,
yeah,
just like you wanna grow
right.
from,
And
the
then
authentic.
also deconstructing it helps you keep from becoming stale, because sometimes if you get locked into your own instinct, you end up just repeating what you know works over and over and over again. And then the world
I see that.
outgrows you.
I
So,
see that. You end up in a
but
formula, you end up
yeah,
in, you end up with a multiverse of this
yeah.
same story over and over again.
I stopped watching the Disney multiverse because I realized that, like, I was like, I from the beginning of the movie, I know the end of the movie, and not
Yeah,
not
that
just
can be
the
a
end.
struggle for a storyteller.
Yeah,
I
because
mean,
it's formula beats, and
yeah.
I love it when the formula is executed well.
Mhm.
Like you made a box cake, great. Some people still somehow manage to make really bad box cakes. Don't know how, but they do that.
It's like there's a recipe, there's a formula. How did you mess
Right.
this up?
Eh,
But it's
right.
that you decide to shortcut something or you decide
Exactly.
to leave something out that really
Yeah.
was useful. And yeah,
I call it
yeah.
the we don't needs, and I have a thousand ways of raging against the we don't need. We we don't need to do that. First of all, how do you know? Like, you don't want to do that.
That's what it is. We don't
Yeah,
want
you
to
don't
do
want to
that
do that.
because that requires more, that adds to the recipe, right? Like,
Yeah.
and we just want it, we're just trying to get to the one
Tr-
result. And
Trying to get, we're trying, and I think that's where you get like really bad formulas executed poorly. Like the first Iron Man was phenomenal, and then now we have a formula where I know I like,
yeah.
and I know everyone is not, everyone's like not like this. They turn their brain off and they want to watch it. It's
Right,
hard for me. It's just
entertainment.
hard. Yeah.
Yeah, it depends because you get accustomed to expecting
Yeah.
a certain kind of entertainment. And so if you see it enough times, it's like, well, all I really need to see is the right type of choreographed battle scene, or the
Exactly.
right
Yeah.
type of, you know what I mean?
But
You
it's,
just start looking for those tiny elements.
I think for people like us, we look, since we know the formula, because we know we can't. Formula is a dirty word, but
Mm,
we can't, always get away from the formula. So then for us, it's like, well, we know that like at the end or towards the end of the second act, there has to be a moment that starts a ticking clock,
yeah.
right? Something
Yeah.
that starts to count down where if you don't get it done within this certain amount of time, then it's all lost, et cetera, et cetera. Every
Yeah.
movie has a ticking clock that happens almost at the same time.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm like, how cleverly are you going to start the ticking clock? If you start the ticking clock in a way that is cool, unexpected, but still like natural and organic, still follows, the idea that like this ticking clock started because it was fated to start, you
Right.
know, then I'm dazzled. I'm thrilled. But if it's like, oh shoot, I forgot. Man, the sun is going down. If we don't finish it,
Day is ending. The
the
day is
day
ending.
is
The
in
sun
it.
is going down.
Get out of here.
So
Like, get out
no,
of here.
that's, I love how you put that though. I love how you put like how cleverly,
Hmm.
right? Like because maybe you can do it. Maybe if you could do it so subtly
Right.
that that we walk with you, our belief is still suspended, we are walking with you, and you've been so subtle that we didn't notice this really major thing
Right.
that just came up, and we are surprised.
Exactly.
And that right there is really, that's tough. If you can surprise me in a book or film, I'm so hooked.
Right.
I'm not just hooked. Like now I want everything. Like I want
Right.
to know everything.
Because it also it earns trust. It earns
Yes.
trust because you then understand that this creator was creating with intention. Like,
Right.
because to do that with the ticking clock or any of the formula beats, God
Mm,
forbid you're using Save the Cat, to
okay. But you
to
just but
right,
yes, like you're saying, but being unexpected, like in some
right.
way it's unexpected, because I have this exact same problem. I used to tell my students, I ruin things. I ruin things if I want to, right?
Hmm.
I can definitely sit quietly, but if we're reading something together, if oh my goodness, if we're watching something together, I
Hmm.
already know if I'm going to check out, because if I've
Hmm.
got the formula, they haven't been surprising or interesting in any particular way. There's been no turn of events that has knocked anything on its side a little bit. You know what I
Right.
mean? There's no complexity. But that's what you were saying about, the value of deconstructing a
Right.
story and then knowing, okay, I'm now going to put it back together, because I can play with the parts if I want to.
Exactly.
I can
Exactly.
play with the parts.
There's one story that I've been working on, and in every story, especially if you're following the monomyth structure, which I love the monomyth structure because it is so. I want to say some will argue that it's not universal, but it's so universal in the Western context. I'll encapsulate it this way: it is, everyone knows what happens when you go on a journey. You're going on a journey for a reason.
Mhm.
First of all, you have to be motivated to go on the journey. What pushes you
Right.
to even start the journey? What's the
Right.
first thing you encounter when
Mhm.
You embark on this journey, you enter a new world, you have to deal with new circumstances, you're figuring yourself out, you're
Mhm.
finding a mentor, the mentor is guiding you, you lose the mentor. All of these beats. I love those beats because I think that they mirror life and birth
Mhm.
and death and rebirth and all that stuff. Um,
Yeah.
but so there's one story I'm working on, and it's the concept of the mentor, right? Where
Oh.
every hero has their mentor that guides them. And I looked at the story and I was like, well, what if all the mentors were false? And
Mm.
every character was they were getting bad advice where the mentors were in
Oh,
some way leading them wrong. And then the turn is
that sounds very much like real life, but go ahead. No.
that
Some people, you can
yeah.
just tell, you're like, "Who is
He's like,
talking to you?"
wait a
Oh,
minute. Yeah. So I
but yeah,
think that that's just a turn of what that is. You know what the
yeah,
mentor is,
yeah.
and you just turn it a little bit and it creates a new dynamic.
Mhm.
But that's where understanding and deconstructing comes into
Yeah.
play.
That's also, I love that you said, you led with the thing that all sci-fi leads with, which
Yeah.
is, so what if
The
what if
the
this
what if
thing that is totally normal and conventional and everyone's comfortable with it, what if it wasn't? What if we
I,
did something different with it
I
and we
love
decided that?
I've always loved I discovered the real power. I feel like it was part of it was intuitive. And this is
Mhm.
like realizing that was more instinctual than I thought. Because again, you're homeschooled, right? So
Right.
you're at home a lot,
Yeah,
obviously.
like, yes.
And so your mind automatically cycles what if questions. What if I was
Right.
here doing this? What if I had this group? What if I was doing that? So like it
Mhm.
created that thought of how do I transmute my environment into something else. So in college, like I realized it because in college I studied multimedia production, mass media communications, and then I doubled and studied theater. And so we're
Amazing.
learning Stanislavski, and then up comes the magic if, and something about the magic if, like, I kid you not, just like sparked me. I was like, that is the most powerful tool that I.
Absolutely.
It's the low key. It's the only part of Stanislavski that I could resonate with. The rest was like too heady, and I had no experience. So like, how am I going to do emotional How am I going to do any of that? And I don't have any experience. I was a homeschool kid, and like they would me and I used to do this, and I think it's fun. She hated my girlfriend at the time. We would be like walking in the park, and it would be night, and I would go, yo, what if dream up something like wacky, and I would like tune it to ways that I know would freak her out. Like, what if, and it would be
Oh my
something.
god. Oh, no. No, please come with the example, because I already know. Good,
Well,
yeah, someone
it's
is gonna resonate. Someone's gonna be like, "That's so cool. I love that."
no. So what I discovered is like that science fiction is just that. It's science fiction is you look at your current environment, you
Mhm.
find one thing that's pivotal and ask, well, what if it flipped? And that also applies to when I'm writing a screenplay. And I don't
Mm,
anyone who's written a screenplay, you probably know around page 40, 60, or 90 hits existential crisis, where you're
yeah.
like, what am I doing? All my ideas are dumb. I'm
Not just
bored.
40, it might be 40, 60, and 90, because you might be like, "Okay, I've gone through it. I dug myself out of that first
Yeah,
hole, but now I'm in
exactly.
another hole,
I've
and what
created
am I
another hole.
doing? This story."
And then I think the biggest thing is the what if this is boring,
Mm,
because you have twists in your mind you try to set up or whatever, and then you realize that you've made it predictable. And if it
mm.
feels predictable, then the audience is always smarter than you.
Well, this is
So
an interesting perspective, though, because you're saying that you make it suddenly, you're saying that it's inevitable that you fall into some measure of predictability
I
when
think
you're
I
writing.
think I think that it could be it, not with all
Okay,
stories. And then it depends on how well you've another dirty word, your story structure.
yeah.
Um, I
The
know some
king
writers,
formula, the formula
yeah,
that is not to be touched.
but ironically, if you adhere too closely to structure, then you do create that predictability.
Yeah, of course.
And
Yeah.
so I learned that like once I hit that point, I need something new, a new idea, not necessarily something to blow up everything. So then
Mm-hmm.
I just literally start asking what if questions.
Okay.
Even if I keep everything the same, I'm like, well, what if instead of this character does this, he does this?
Okay. You
What if
throw
she
your
does?
own plot twist by asking the what if
Yeah,
question.
and I may not keep it. The thing is, I may not keep it, but asking because you've created a world and you've gotten stale in your own world that you've created. And so then
Okay.
you go meta into your own world and you're like, well, what if it was this? And then the beauty of story and the part
Yeah.
that some writers who have studios in Atlanta don't do is you have a
And if
twist.
you missed that, that
What?
was shade.
No, when you have a twist and you do that, you do have to backtrack
Yeah. And
because you're
yeah.
also a master of time, which is beautiful. You're a master of time. So, and there's even metaphysics, which is wild, that say the choices that you make now seem theoretically seem to ripple backwards as far as they
Mm,
ripple forwards. And that is exactly how story works.
I like that because when you think about a ripple, it absolutely operates cyclically. Like it's a
Yes.
circle. It's
Yeah,
not only moving forward. There is a mild, at least a mild
exactly. Yeah.
wave backwards. So, okay, go say more about this.
Yeah, so
Like,
like so then you backtrack and you make sure, and I just wrote on my Substack a little bit on the ending needs to seem fated, which is
mm,
poetics.
okay.
And in order to make that work, if you change something, you do have to track back to make sure that all of the pieces
Right.
inevitably lead to that. And I think sometimes new writers get stuck where they're like, "Well, this is the ending," and I'm like, you are a master of the story.
Mm, mm.
So if you're like, this is boring, or I want to add this, or whatever, you can't be like, well, my character wouldn't do that. Go back in time and rewrite their birth. Now they
Go
do that.
back and do a metaphysical move
Right.
and give them a reason
Justify.
that
Yeah.
people might not even pick up on. This is what okay, this is what I'm
Yeah.
loving right now because what you're suggesting is that you do that what if question, you add that twist in there, and instead of like sitting for days, weeks, months on, the insecurity of
Right. Exactly.
moving the
And
thing forward, you
exactly.
just allow yourself to take control of the narrative and go back and say, what small thing
Right.
can be built into this person's background, or what
Yeah.
circumstance, almost like writing mystery, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
what is the clue that I'm going to drop during the whole exposition phase, if
Right.
I'm sticking to all of this, if I'm going to drop this clue in there, and they might miss it, but it's going to occur to them later that it makes sense that this person would do it because of how they understand the character, right? Like
Exactly.
the whole character.
Yeah. And
Yes. Oh,
there's a
that's
lot
good.
there's a lot that goes to that, obviously, but
Yeah.
because you're pulling at yarn, you're pulling at strings, but
Yeah.
you are also the one in charge of the strings, and like you mess up, literally
That's so
rewind
good.
time, you rewind time and resequence it, resequence
No,
it.
that is so good because so many times it's like we have to remind ourselves, like, who's running this right here? You're the creative, like
Have
you're
you
the
ever
artist.
watched a movie and you ask that question, like, did they
Who's in
not
charge?
know that did they not know they didn't have to make that choice?
Right.
They didn't know that
Well,
they didn't have to
but
do
then
that.
when you're in that, like, let's be honest, when you're in that situation, there are limitations, right?
Yeah.
Like we do have to acknowledge that you're no longer alone in the building of your story. I mean,
Right.
you've done these things. You have worked with people, you've created film, and you're writing. So maybe that's the difference when you're writing versus
This is all the writing part. This is all the writing
yeah,
part.
that's the writing
Yeah.
part before you get to the stage of now I want to create this thing maybe visually.
But that's
And
also why you need to make sure you partner with going
mm,
into to the movie aspect, because I spent about 2 years as a feature film editor. I mean,
mm.
we'll probably have to lengthen the resume because I'll be like, what? I'm
I'm
like
just
the
gonna have a
Forrest
long
Gump
list.
at
We're
this
gonna have a
point of
long, yeah,
like,
we'll have
you
a
were an
long list
astronaut
of
at some point.
links. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, just
But
yeah.
you do get stories that were written poorly.
Hmm.
There's that they're written poorly. The editor gets them, and it's up to the editor to
Yeah.
make time and space work when it
Oh,
shouldn't.
that's so
Or
awful
the
to be
the
that editor.
writer,
No, it's a poorly written story.
it is awful. It's very awful.
You're like,
I
yeah.
I called my office triage because I felt like that I was
Sometimes you were like,
saving the light.
we gotta bring it back.
But then with a movie, there's so many points where things could go off. So from the
Yeah.
script to line producing, where the line producer is like, "Let me rip this to shreds because I we don't have
Mhm.
the budget to produce this." So then things get rewritten, but they don't really get rewritten; they get rehaggled, and then
Rehaggle.
it goes to the director, and then the director is like, "Well, I see something completely different," and then it gets rehaggled there, and then it goes to the editor, and the editor just sees like the trail of three different people
Mm.
who have made a
Everybody's
different.
fingerprint is now on it instead
Yeah,
of that original.
exactly. And then the
Yeah.
editor does it, and then the production company or the studio execs are like, "No, this doesn't hit our target demo. Let's
Hmm.
make everything a cat." you know.
Let's make everything a cat. That's the formula. It's like,
you know.
here are the things we know that work because everyone's seen them before.
Right, exactly. So then at
Mhm.
that point I'm like, and I you can kind of see where it's just like, why are, I think it was Marvels, I think. I don't know if you watch Marvels. I loved most of it. And then
Okay.
you get to the end, spoilers, and for some reason everything becomes a cat.
Everything becomes a
That's
cat.
I'm 100%
Well,
serious.
that's
Like,
and I think that it happens because people get so wed to the formula of we've got to
mhm,
resolve all the things
right.
because our audience expects to go out feeling satisfied with that, that all the cats have been found, right?
But
Like,
catharsis,
you know.
the satisfaction should come from a, a beautifully engineered catharsis. And
Mhm.
catharsis doesn't have to be a happy ending or a sad ending. It doesn't. There's no
Mm,
have to be with catharsis. Have you brought them to a point where they can purge and release their emotions, their feelings? There's like
mhm,
resolution that comes with that. Um,
mhm,
I think that you can create a formula, or you can aim for catharsis, and sometimes formula will get you there.
mhm,
Sometimes it just leads you nowhere.
mm.
You know.
The way that you began and the way that you were explaining how you learned about story and storytelling has clearly impacted your perspective on creating stories, but also how you consume them and how you deconstruct them,
Yeah.
right? Because you're very much like I hear you saying you're very much like it's not an either or. It wasn't for you ever an either
Right.
or. That you
No.
have to do the one thing and not the other thing. But
Yeah.
what if you can do both,
What if you
right?
could do
Like,
both? Yeah.
yeah.
And that was my argument to my professors in college, because their argument, and I get it, their argument was that you can't do both of these particular majors because
Oh,
they're both so intensive. And I think we talked about this
okay.
before.
Yeah.
You can't do theater and
Hmm.
media production. And I always found that to be ridiculous,
Of course you
especially
would.
especially when I was younger, and I had even more of an ego. Like, I was
You're
like, that's
really-
stupid. That's dumb. I'm sure you've had students where you tell them something, they're like, that sounds wrong, and you're like, Okay.
Um, you know what? I listen, maybe it's my ego stepping in because I don't have a lot of those moments because I don't do that. I'm not
I love
I
that. Yeah.
feel like telling people what they can't do, that is never my approach. It's not my approach with colleagues. I feel
Yeah.
like I am the loophole queen. Like that's always my approach. My approach is, but how could we do that?
Exactly. Exactly.
Right?
And I,
Like
I
if
think
that's
that's the
what you
mind
really
though.
want, how
Yeah.
could we do it?
How could we make, and when it comes to writing sci-fi or anything, when it comes to writing anything,
Mhm.
and it's especially when it comes to making it,
Mhm.
and especially when it comes to making it with little to no budget, how can we do is far superior to me than we can't do cut it,
Right.
because we can't do cut it immediately kills ingenuity, creativity, and
Innovation, opportunity.
innovation, and that's
Yeah.
boring to me. I'm like, that's boring. I
Yeah.
love it when I see they didn't have a budget for that, but somehow every
Somehow.
amazing sci-fi that we've ever watched in the American canon of sci-fi,
Mhm.
Terminator, Alien, Star Trek, all these things. Star Trek didn't have budget. If you look into the backstory of the original
Right.
series, they had no budget for that to
No,
do
and you could, I mean, and looking back at it, you
looking
can
back, you can
see
totally see it.
that. But it didn't matter at the time
It did.
because they were accomplishing
They were
a
accomplishing.
thing that wasn't accomplished in any other way. Like,
Right. They were being efficient, creative. They were asking what if questions, you
yeah,
know, and it's how can I get a light up in this corner to create this effect as opposed to sorry, we can't do it. It's how Citizen Kane got made. The DP Citizen Kane didn't he that was his first movie. And so he had
really.
that was his first movie. He had no concept of can't do
Love
it.
to do.
This is how I
Just
know even though I say I don't want to teach, at a certain point when I feel like I'm done telling all my stories, I'll be like, all right, cool,
okay, I
cool.
reject that. I reject that. I reject that. I feel like that is not what we're going to do. What we're going to do is not wait on a thing to end so that another thing can begin. We are going to do that thing, that black speculative thing, and
Is
we are going
everything
to
all
say,
at once?
what if
Whatever
you
we
could
want?
do, yes, what if you could do that and that? How could you do that and that?
That's a perfect way to tie it. Yeah.
People, y'all better get this. I'm gonna drop all the important things in the link. First of all,
Okay.
before I stop us fully, what is coming up for you? Where can people find your work?
Okay. So my main hubs right now where you can find my work is either YouTube, Dreamdoor Films channel, or Substack. A lot of us are flocking to Substack. Ink
So
and Light,
beautiful. Ink and
Ink and
light is
Ink and Light.
amazing. Yeah.
If you want to watch the film Attrition, that's on my YouTube channel. I'm trying to turn that into a series. And so what I've done is I've written the pilot episode for that series and I've started releasing it in pieces on Substack. So if you watch the film and you want to know
Ooh.
what exactly is happening in this world, that's where you can kind of see the speculative fiction. um, One thing I did want to note about Attrition is that you watch the film and it can create this feeling of what I think a lot of us are trying to get past, which is like Black trauma. There's so much more
To it. Yeah. There,
to it.
yeah. You can
And
tell.
you see that in just the opening scene of the pilot. If you read the opening scene of the pilot, you see where that is, oh, this is not that. This is how we
Hmm.
beat everything. This is how we've always beat
This is
everything.
how we win anyway.
Yeah. Also on Ink and Light are I'm writing a series. I'm starting as a novelist. So I've started releasing first draft chapters as an
Ooh.
experiment. All feedback is welcome. And I'm also writing just what it's like to be a writer, tips on writing, that kind of stuff is there. And I'm also sliding in scenes from the feature film that I'm working to make next year, is the plan. So,
All the things. This is what I'm
yeah,
saying. Both and doing all the things. All the
listen,
things.
we have boundless creativity, boundless
That's
creativity.
exactly what I'm saying. Exactly. You all heard it. Thank you. Mr. Silas Tibbs of
You're
Dreamdoor
welcome.
Film and all the other things, Ink and Light and everything else that we're going to see from you. We're going to support your work. We're going to do
Thank
all the
you.
things to support creatives out here. And we appreciate you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Hey creatives, if you're hearing this, then you've been listening to the Vision Builders podcast with Dr. Helene, your writing life coach. Join me next time to get more insights, tools, and resources to help you get the clarity and direction you need to finish that project and build your vision. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave me a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Y'all know how this works. And share. Let somebody else know what you are learning in this podcast. Be sure to check the show notes for a link to my website where you can sign up for my mailing list and get even more tools and resources. With that, I will sign off. Bye.